Live.
We're live. We are live.
How exciting.
Hello and welcome to our first Just Get a Real Job live Q&A session. I am with the lovely cast and crew of Title of the Show musical. Hello guys, how are you doing?
Hello.
Good.
So I believe everyone has their character names and stuff on like their video feed, but I actually can't see that, so that's not really of help to me. So I'm going to have to sort of wing this a wee bit because I've not really met everyone here apart from Andrew and Ellie before. So it is also lovely to meet you guys as well. How is everyone today?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, great. Ready to go?
Yeah, big week of the show. Are you guys nervous? Are you feeling quite ready for it all? Are you excited for it to all come out and for people to see it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been editing for a very long time, so I'm ready to not watch it again. But yeah, no, really excited for people to finally see it. It's been a long time coming.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to see it because we've not seen it yet.
No, that's right.
Well, of course, to everyone who is at home watching and who or listening or whatever, however you're engaging with this, whether it's going to be live or later on, you can get your tickets to this on Title of the Shows. There's links to all there, and it's going to be streaming on Friday and Sunday. But of course, we'll remind you that throughout today. But first, I thought it would be nice if you guys may want to go round one by one, introduce yourselves, tell the people who are watching and listening what your role in the show is. So we'll start with the director herself, Ellie. Why don't you go first?
I'm Ellie. Andrew kindly asked me to help him direct this wonderful show, and it's been great. Next to me is Rachel. On you go.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I get to play Susan, which is a very fun character. One of the four in the show, and one of Hunter and Jeff's friends, and soon to be Heidi's best friend too. So, yeah, it's been lovely. I've really enjoyed getting involved.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I play the character of Hunter. I'm also producing Title of Show and adapted Title of Show with Ellie. I'm editing Title of Show. Yeah.
You're doing it all. You're doing it all.
Yeah,
Amazing.
doing a whole like Barbara Streisand, just doing it all.
Brilliant. And it's Stephen, right? That's your name.
Yes, hi.
I
I am
was so
Stephen.
nervous that wasn't going to be. Is that actually your name? Jesus.
I promise it is. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen, and I play Jeff in Title of Show, who is the composer and Hunter's best friend. And we set off on this epic journey to create this show. And it's just like real life. We've also been on an epic journey within our homes creating this lovely show.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. And I think we have one more person to go.
Yes. Hi, my name's Rebecca. I play like Heidi in Title Show. Also one of the four who's friends with Jeff and Hunter, and soon to be Rachel / Susan. I don't know why I said both names. Sorry. It's been so much fun to do the show as well, and it's actually been really nice to do a show that's guaranteed to happen in 2021.
Yes. Always a bonus, isn't it?
Always a bonus.
Yeah. Well, I guess the first question for me anyway, and I'm sure people are wondering, but how did this sort of come about then? Like, what was the inspiration? What was the sort of decision? We're going to make this digital musical, an adaptation of Title of the Show, which is obviously like I was going to say well-known musical. I hadn't heard of it myself, but I mean, it's pretty popular. It was very successful, I think. So, like, what was sort of the decision to make the musical? I suppose I'll direct that to Andrew first, since you sort of are the brains behind it, I guess.
So I had seen Title of Show at the Fringe about 6 years ago, and thought it was amazing. And kind of from then, I'd really wanted to do it, but I couldn't ever picture or visualize a version of it that wasn't just a carbon copy of how it's normally done, because on stage, Title of Show is as it is, it just exists, and it will be, obviously it's different people, but it will be the same. And then back in maybe, was it about November time?
Yeah.
I did a digital creativity online retreat with a woman called Susan Blackwell. She and Susan is the Susan that was originally in Title of Show. And as part of it, we had to just come up with ideas that spark you, so spark and inspire you. And the more I kind of thought about it, and just because I was connecting with Susan as a person, it kind of brought me back to Title of Show. And after looking at it through kind of like a blank slate, the story of these people trying to create something and the struggles of trying to create when you don't have any inspiration was kind of the exact situation that I found myself in. And it just felt a bit too, it felt really close to home, and as if it was designed to be told by artists that are trying to create when the world has stopped spinning. So how do you make art? How do you make theatre? How do you still create when you're not allowed to connect with people in person anymore? When we're not allowed to do things that we would traditionally? And just kind of from that point on, I thought, that would be quite a fun idea to play around with. So then I came to Ellie with the concept, and the two of us really adapted it to it's kind of evolved into this whole other thing. It's not a digital theatre piece anymore. It's fully a digital musical piece of art that's specifically designed for this medium that couldn't exist on stage, so
yeah. Well, that's really interesting. So like, have you well, obviously, as you just said, but like how, so there's been like quite a big adaptation from the original musical, then like how much adaptation are we like, did you have to totally rewrite things, or did you sort of kind of manage to sort of do it in a way that sort of kept the original essence of the show but also was able to sort of be its own thing in a way and work for a digital medium?
So the script is almost the exact same. So the dialogue is almost totally intact, but we just took it from a totally different lens. The entire time, Ellie and I just explored the situation fully from how would these people act and react during a pandemic. So when communication breaks down, it's not just because another person is kind of ignoring you in person, you're physically not able to be in the same room with them. So we just kind of took the strengths of working digitally, and it's really more film work. So the strengths of film work and just kind of ran with it that way. So that's how the adaptation happened. So people that have seen the stage show, this will be a totally different experience for them. They probably won't really recognize it, which is
amazing. Yeah. Well, no, it's really interesting. And Ellie, sort of, so you sort of mentioned that Andrew had actually directed, but like this was quite a while ago. This was back in February, right? That this sort of started, or was it even earlier than that?
Further, it was before Christmas.
Yeah. Was it really?
Yeah, but it was so exciting. Like, you can just tell from how passionate Andrew is when he talks about it. He has like such a clear vision that I was like, yes, of course I want to do it. And it was just so exciting. It translated so well into like so it's all set on like Zoom, FaceTime, Instagram videos, like the way that we've been having like to connect recently. And it just fits perfectly. Like, it's as if it was made for that form, like so well. And we also like, are we allowed to talk about the music? So yes, Andrew also had this amazing idea that all the musical numbers, we're doing it totally different because we're not like constricted by having to be live on stage. We can have all these costume changes, all these different backgrounds. We can do so much when people are in their houses. So we've kind of like gone with a really different vibe on all the musical numbers, like aesthetically. There's some like parodies of well-known music videos. There's references to like our own sort of, what would you call them? Pop culture of like our generation? Yeah. Because I guess, when was it written?
2009. So they're like, the people that created it are a generation above us. So this is really kind of our generation's view of it, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's very of the moment. But yeah, it's so good. Oh my god, I can't even tell you. It's like a real film now. It's insane. We watched it together. Andrew's edited like most of it, and it's like professionally done. It's insane, honestly.
Unit comes in handy sometimes.
I'm glad to hear it. And I suppose to the rest of the cast, I just open this up. So just whoever wants to jump in first. But like, how did you all come about like being involved in the project? Did you do an audition? Did Andrew ask you? Did Ellie and Andrew like watch you guys audition for stuff? Like, how did you get involved?
So I was lucky enough to have worked with Andrew previously and Rebecca. We were involved in a couple of shows last year that didn't quite go ahead, but will hopefully go ahead next year. So yeah, we'd already worked quite closely together for the best part of a year, really, on a show. And then Andrew came to me and it's been telling me about the show for ages, and this specific character being like, have you heard this song? You are this person. You need to sing this song. And then eventually was like, I'm going to do it. I would love you to play Susan. And I was like, yes, of course, because I trust you, in your vision. And that's how I got involved. And I hadn't really heard about Title Show much before either. So it's been a total experience and a journey, but it's been great. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I suppose Title Show is kind of like I was going to say underground, but it probably is a little bit cult, isn't it? It's like a cult musical.
It's not well known. It's not in the mainstream. It's only really die-hard musical theatre fans that probably know it, unless you saw it at like the Fringe, like me, for example. It's totally really culty.
Brilliant. Well, Stephen, what about you? So how did you sort of get involved in the project?
So I kind of vaguely knew Andrew from before because we'd both been involved in the same company that done Fringe shows before. And so it was kind of like a friend of a friend situation. And then I just randomly happened across a casting call on Facebook one day. They were looking for a Jeff. And I had nothing else to do. I wasn't doing any shows. All my shows from last year had been postponed. So I thought, why not audition? And I was lucky enough to get it. So that started my journey off with this show and meeting all these wonderful people.
Brilliant. So you didn't know anyone before that, like you hadn't met everyone here then? It's
like I say, I knew Andrew vaguely. Yeah. Like we'd met once or twice, but this has been totally new for me, meeting everyone. And we've not even met in person properly. I've only met Rebecca in person.
Yeah,
so it won't be until we actually walk together this week that we'll actually meet in person for the first time.
Amazing. Well, I've got some questions about like how working on Zoom and things, like how all that worked to ask in a little while. Rebecca, I was going to say, because there's a Rachel and Rebecca, so it's a little bit, 2 hours. I was making sure not to call you Rachel there. But Rebecca, how about yourself? How did you come to be involved in this project?
So you can call me whatever you want to start off with.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Like an oral answer.
Just anything R. Right, okay. Cool.
I knew Andrew and Rachel before. I'd worked with Andrew on a couple of shows, and then I'd met Rachel doing a show last year. And then I basically one night got a bunch of voice notes from Andrew, like a bunch. Just of like trying to sell me the show in a space of like 60-second like Facebook Messenger like voice notes. And he honestly, like the amount of enthusiasm he had and the fact that he mentioned it won't be cancelled, I was like, you don't need to convince me anymore. You sound so enthusiastic, I'll do anything you want, anything at all. So it was a really easy sell, and it's been great. Rachel didn't know much about the show at all before, so it's been great to learn the show and do a show and meet loads of great people doing it. So yeah, brilliant.
Well, I suppose my next question for you guys is, just let me get my notes. I've also realized I didn't have my earphones in. I'm like, I'm going to get a row from the editor for that, so I better chuck them on, or Elliot will be giving me a row. I guess my next question kind of maybe it is a bit similar, but I just started wanting to know, what has this show meant to you all on a personal level? Like, what have you all gained from doing this, like, so far? Like, what's like sort of been your favorite thing about working together on the show on the week it's about to come out? It must be quite exciting as well. So, Andrew, what do you think you'd got out of the show the most? Like, what have you gained?
Oh gosh, what a question. It's for me, it's the first time I've properly adapted something and totally kind of fanned the fire from inception to it actually happening, because a lot of the time I'll have kind of out of the box strange ideas. Like I'll have random ideas like this quite often, but it's not very often that I actually kind of pursue them. So that's quite a big deal. And I think for me, the fact that this fun little idea that I had in my head 8 months ago is now a thing that is really beautiful and really moving and hilarious is, yeah, it's like birthing a child. About to leave high school soon, so.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to be quite sad after the weekend when it's sort of like when it's done, after like having like put so much work into it for the last sort of 6 or so months?
Yeah, I think so. I really needed this creatively because of COVID, because I had gone from being kind of immersed in work all the time to having nothing. So it'll be a bit odd to go back to having nothing. Please excuse me while I answer the door. But
a good way of passing the baton on. Well, we'll go to Ellie next. What's this as their director and stuff? What is this meant to you on a personal level and stuff?
That's a deep question. I think
that's what I'm here for. You know what I mean?
I know you're asking the difficult ones. That's what we wanted. It's such a beautiful show, to be honest. Like for me personally, I hadn't directed anything in ages. I've never been a part of a musical before because I can't sing and dance. So this is like finally I can be involved in a musical. It's amazing.
I didn't know that. That's wild.
And I just loved being able to direct. You know, working with a script again, working with people. It's just something I haven't done for ages, and it's so nice to like have the chance to be creative and talk with Andrew about ideas. Like you just forget how much you miss. Like I can't put it into words, but you know when you just like you know something is really missing, and you're just kind of like living your life like. And then when you do something like this, you have excitement again, and you're like looking forward to doing it, and it gives you like a lift. So nice.
Yeah, 100%. Like it is quite amazing how many people have continued to be creative during lockdown, and like lengths people have went to sort of go to be creative in the last sort of 18 months. I mean, things are slowly opening up, but it's just been amazing to see how people have like, you know, they'd still continue, you know, they're not just sat around and, you know, being sort of sad about it. And if people have, that's also totally fine, because as something I like to say is that this wasn't a residency. Yeah, it wasn't a residency, but at the same time, it is very good to see that people have like, you know, tried to make things still, because we missed like being able to do that, I'm sure. So that is great. What about you, Rachel? Like what do you personally think?
Wow. Well, I feel like without like saying that classic 2020 is going to be my year. Like, you know, that it was like this was the year that was just 2020 started off so well, I think, for me, in a sense of I got a new job. I was involved in 2 amazing shows that I was super excited for, like parts I'd really been like super excited to play. And then March came and took everything away from all of us. But yeah, so I felt like I went into like everything kind of got snatched so quickly, in a sense of like job I just got. I obviously lost that because COVID. So I had to make like a really quick adaptation to finding a job anywhere. So for the past year, I've been working night shifts, which is a new thing. And we're surviving, we're awake. So and yeah, just kind of fell back into like a little like non-creative black hole, I suppose, of like, oh, and now my life's just working this night shift and getting through and not seeing anyone and not being creative. So honestly, I think when Andrew asked me to be a part of it, I was like, oh my God, yes, something creative. And I didn't even realize how much I would get from it, in a sense of probably more my own like confidence coming back and like self-esteem, or like kind of like feeling yourself again, like that vibe. But I think I totally kind of like shut down a little bit again after feeling so good at the start of 2020, then going, oh God, I've not signed for ages and I've not acted with anyone, and like, can I still do it? And oh, now I'm tired all the time and I'm exhausted. So merging that, I think one with the character of Susan was like so perfect for me at that moment, because she kind of has the same like internal struggles. So it was super easy to kind of like fall into that part and not feel like
Yeah.
stressed about putting myself out there again, because it was like that's all part of her journey too. So we kind of like molded together, and yeah, it's just been like a really like heartwarming experience and a good little like push to like get myself back out there a bit, you know.
But I would also say that out of anyone, Rachel is probably the most similar to the character that she's playing. It's almost as if the part was written around her. As, like, just as in a person and situation, life. You're not engaged, but apart from that, it's very much
a wee jab there.
Point. So for her, it's almost a bit like fated. This would come along at this point.
Yeah.
I put this on myself.
Excellent casting. So yeah, for me it was just like such a like bring me back out the well that I've got stuck in after 2020. To be fair. Yeah.
No, that's really nice. I'm glad that you've had this as well to like give you a bit of just something that you must have missed it. Absolutely. Stephen, what about yourself? What did you get from this on a personal level? Are you ready to answer this deep question that everyone else is starting to get?
It's such a deep question, and everyone else has dug the depths.
Yeah.
But just to like reiterate what everyone else is saying, I think I like concur with Rachel there. Like at the start of 2020, I was involved in shows I was looking forward to and exciting opportunities. Like my first lead in a show I'd ever got, and I was so excited for that. And then COVID happened, that all ended, lost my job. Like just was not in a space mentally to do anything creative at all. Because I was like, oh, it's such a struggle to just survive this pandemic every day and just like cope with not seeing anyone and not working creatively and not doing all the things I loved. And then on top of that, I think I got to a point where I was like, do I even like it anymore? Like, do I even like performing? Because my whole personality for years had been finish a show, audition for another show, do that show, finish a show, and it was just non-stop. And I think during COVID, I had time to like really reflect on, is this something I enjoy still? Is this just became my whole personality and I don't have anything else outside of performing in shows? And I think this has been a good way to like ease myself back into that performer mode. And through this, I've discovered I do enjoy it. It's fun. This has been fun and silly and stupid. And this has been like a tonic, I would say. It's really helped me
to good phrase.
Reevaluate myself. Yeah, tonic of show.
Tonic. The Q&A.
That's what we should drink. That should be our themed cocktail for the viewing. Tonic of show.
Yeah. And last up, Rebecca, what are you ready to answer this deep question now? You ready?
I'm ready. I've had all the time to think about my answer. I would say probably title of show specifically, because I've done a couple of like online concerts, but this show has pushed me so far out of my comfort zone. You have no idea. Like, it's so awkward, like filming with a camera, even just like saying into my phone. It's just so different to what like I don't know anyone else. Just so different to what you're used to. I feel you're used to just getting up, singing once, getting off, going and having a drink, rather than like having to re-watch yourself or re-listen to yourself over and over to be like, oh my god, this is gonna be. Are people gonna? Is this good? And some of the stuff we've had to film has been like me and Rachel have a couple of duets, and some of the stuff we've had to do for them is so bizarre. Well, I've just like never like I was like filming a bit at my uni, and I had this weird wig on. I was like leaning over by lockers, like looking up into the camera, and these like cleaners were like screaming at, like just like speaking, and they were looking over and like laughing at us. I was like, oh, this is the most awkward thing ever, but it's really been great to go, okay, you can do this, you can push yourself out your comfort zone, you can film loads of wacky stuff, and it'll be lit, it'll be fine. And some of the harmonies are crazy as well. I'm used to being a soprano, which is just an octave like higher and is the same as the tune. So some of the harmonies that I've given to the show have been so difficult, but it's been such a good thing to do, to like just
go
all in to do something, which has been amazing.
Brilliant. Well, I asked Bill yesterday to send us in some questions, and I was going to ask them all at the end. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle them in throughout my own questions. So I'm going to give a question, and this person hasn't given a name; it's just an anonymous one, I'm afraid. But they just asked, "Who is the funniest person in rehearsals?" So I don't know if anyone wants to
Diane.
nominate someone.
Diane.
No.
So Diane, who could not be here today because she's a carer and a better person than I am. So she plays the character of Mary, who is the pianist, careful with that word, in the show. And she's one of the funniest people that I know, but she just goes rogue and she's great. That's my
Brilliant.
She is so funny.
Oh, it's nice when people ask questions as well. It makes my job a little bit easier. I'm like, some people have asked questions. I'm like, I should have thought of that question, but that's technically my job. So I actually have a question specifically for Ellie, because obviously you've been on the podcast before. So if anyone is watching or listening hasn't heard the episode, go and check out episode 21 where I spoke to Ellie about her life and stuff and lots of projects. But obviously you are quite involved in digital theatre and creating digital art and things. So I just wondered, did having that knowledge, I know you said you didn't really work in musicals, but how did that I imagine that's been quite useful coming into this environment to work with Andrew. Were you able to take quite a lot of that knowledge and help use it to sort of get this made and things?
That's a good question. Yeah, I guess I have been sort of reimagining my own practice online recently with various projects, but I think maybe that's why Andrew asked me. I remember you mentioned it when you were first like, oh, you know so much about digital things. And I was like, no, I don't. But I think so. I hope it helps. I guess I've just learned wee bits and bobs. I don't know. I have no idea if that helped me at all. I would like to think so, but I haven't evaluated myself, so I'm not sure. But I think it must have done. Things go into your subconscious anyway, if I'm not consciously thinking about it. But yeah, I would say so. You get used to doing things online.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more of it. I think had we gone into like a real rehearsal room, I would have been a bit more like, But because I'm so used to being online all the time, like setting up Zoom rehearsals and stuff was easy and planning them was much easier. But I don't know, it's a totally different world than the things that I usually do. So it was very different. But I think we just had so much fun playing with it and playing with all the different ways that you can work digitally and all the forms it can take and how much more freedom you have in a way.
Yeah.
So I think so.
Yeah. Well, that kind of ties us nicely to my next sort of question for you all, which is how did it all work? The Zoom rehearsals, how did you film this all? I imagine you'll have some people was it all individually filmed? Did you ever meet up and film a few things together? How did it all work?
So we had rehearsals which were more brainstorming, just word vomit, sparking conversations, because from myself, having done a couple of digital shows earlier in the year, I found that rehearsing on Zoom can be a bit redundant and it can be a bit difficult. So our rehearsals were much more conversation based and collaboration based. And then Ellie had created a really thorough and really in-depth directorial pack, which broke down every scene. If it was a musical number, if it's a parody, what's it based on? We would have reference points and specific things that we wanted from each of the actors. But it was all shot individually, so the cast went away and they just played. They just got to explore and kind of do what they wanted, because from the get-go, we wanted it to be a true collaboration between everyone. So I think also that's why not being a strict traditional rehearsal process helped all that, because we just spoke to everyone and wanted to hear the cast's opinions and just allowed them to go and have
Yeah,
fun and create.
It was quite open, wasn't it? I would say so.
But
Everyone threw
But from
different
someone
ideas
who's
in.
not in mine or Ellie's brains, like from the cast, you know, their experience would be very different.
Was it very different to the rest of you? Does that sound like how you remember it?
No, yeah, that totally sounds so.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It was all a bit of a blur.
Great. Well, I just to quickly address anyone who might be watching. I'm not sure. I hope you are. But if you've just joined us and you want to ask a question, if you want to ask a question or anything, please put a question in the live chat as well. Please get involved. Go and follow their show as well on their social media channels. Title of the show. Go and follow the podcast as well. All that stuff. And I will. Yeah. My next question I will find as well. I'm going to see if we've got any more questions to ask actually from people. We'll sprinkle one of them in. Right, so I've got 2 questions from Kyle, who is very kindly a patron of this podcast. So as well, if anyone wants to become a patron, please consider doing that. There will be a link to that underneath this video, hopefully as well. But Kyle asks, what first got everyone into musicals? I mean, if you are into musicals, I assume most of you are if you're doing one, but what first got everyone into musicals? Does anyone have an early memory of that?
Whoa.
No, go ahead. This is an open space. Go ahead.
Anyone can dive
Take it
in.
away, Stephen.
Okay, I'll go. Right. So my earliest memory of musicals is every weekend from roughly ages like 5 to 8, I would go to my grand's house and watch the VHS of Cats in full. No breaks. No, I tell a lie. One break at the beginning during the opening credits because they scared me, and then I would come back in for the start of Songs for Jellicle Cats. And you know what? I lived my best life. I loved it. Cats is peak musical theatre, and anyone who says it's bad just doesn't get it.
Okay. Well,
Cool.
Seriously, it was my grandparents as well, and my granddad loved Cats, and he did have the VHS of it. However, I think, to be honest, my first kind of memory of like theatre in general and being kind of
Memory.
loud, no, no, was getting taken to the pantomime in Edinburgh at the King's when I was like really young, maybe like 6 or 7. I think it was Jack and the Beanstalk. My grandparents
Nice.
took it the first time, and I loved it. And I think that was the moment I kind of was like, oh my God, I love this. I want to do that. I want to be there. And from there spurred the old school musicals with the grandparents, Sound of Music, My Fair Lady. But we move and develop more taste.
I mean, I started really young as well. So as a child, I was maybe the most dramatic and obnoxious child there was.
I'm like, no.
Who would have thought? And apparently when I was 3, my mum took me to see Me and My Girl, which is like a 3.5 hour
Wow.
musical.
How random.
Yeah, really random. And apparently I was silent and just mesmerized the entire time. So that's kind of probably where it started. But like my earliest memories are sitting in my living room with my granny watching all of the classic films. So we would watch The King and I on repeat, South Pacific, The Sound of Music. So just kind of, it's always been a part of my life, and I've not really known any different. So, and then I started acting when I was quite young. So I was in Les Mis when I was 8. Died very dramatically. So, you know what? Once you start up here, you know it's hard to let go of that bug. It's been
I
downhill
forgot
since.
Gavroche was a character and thought you played like Fontaine at like age 8, and I was
Well,
like,
you know, that is the part I should have played, but unfortunately,
tragically, maybe next year.
yeah, maybe next time.
Excellent.
I kind of started off really poppy, like not musicals. Like I remember the first thing I remember going to see was like X Factor live, like when they would go to Glasgow. and you would like I'd just be like in awe of Jedward like on stage, like this is the life.
Gen Z.
Edward, yeah.
Oh, forget your Gen Z.
Yeah,
Oh.
I remember like a girl I went to high school with, we dressed up as them like for Halloween. Like it was a whole time. That was so embarrassing, sorry. But then I went to go and see Wicked when I was in high school at some point for the first time. with my
Conveniently
family.
placed behind you as well. Lovely poster
Oh
of it right behind.
yeah. Oh, I totally-
Poster frame.
I went to go and see Wicked, and then that was the only show I saw for about maybe 4 years. I would just every time Wicked went to Edinburgh, that was the only show I'd seen, that was the only show I listened to. And then I just met loads of people at university who were really into musicals, and that was kind of it. I more like sang like X Factor pop before before any sort of musical.
That is so interesting. That is not how I imagined you.
So, can I just ask a little question to you, Becca? So, Becca and I did The Addams Family together 2 years ago.
Will be.
How early on in your MT life was that? Do not tell me that was one of the first things you did, or I will slap you through the computer.
I done like some school. I must have done 2 or 3 like high school shows. But like Adams was the first like I don't know like serious thing. I don't know. I don't know if Adams was
Stop it.
but it was like an actual thing. I was like, this isn't in like a like school environment. Yeah. I'd
That's
mainly done like
wild.
play acting like before then. I hadn't
You're
done
all-
musical. No, you're okay, sorry.
I was like, we're all aghast because Rebecca is insanely talented and super amazing. So we've been stunned. Stunned
I
by
don't-
talent.
Oh, good.
My
Good.
parents forced me to karaoke in Spain when I didn't want to.
Were you wearing cornrows? Please.
No, I didn't do that. That was-
Ellie, do you have a musical thing? Because I know you weren't or not as into musicals perhaps as you mentioned at the start, or haven't really worked on one before, but you still like musicals though, right?
I love them. I just
Yeah.
wish I had any talent to be in them. Yeah. I love musicals. Well, my sister is super into musicals, so she's got all the talent, unfortunately. So I've been to see her in like loads of things my whole life. So that's probably how I got into them. I used to love Grease. That's my favorite musical.
Yeah, that would be mine. That would be
Really
mine.
counts, because I know it's not real.
Yes,
A real
that is.
musical.
Yes.
That's my favorite one. But no, I used to be in stuff when I was younger, you know, when everyone doesn't tell you you're rubbish. But once I got older, I realized.
We've had some horrid auditions. We've had 2 auditions together, and they were both awful. So
Oh yeah, they were. Oh, I never get into anything. But now I can say I can direct them, and that was so fun. I still get to be involved.
Yeah, everyone, it's good to do different parts of it anyway. Like, I mean, I always have a memory of doing Gamma Youth and being dropped. I was rehearsing the dancing for this. I think it was called Curtains, the show. I rehearsed the dancing for a long time. Really good musical, actually. It was good, but I was rehearsing the dance for maybe 3 months, and then about 2 or 3 weeks before the show, they went, "Jamie, we just want you to play a barman. So you can just."
oh no!
I was in the chorus, but I was like, "You can sing, but if you just want to polish some glasses." And I thought, I'll take my leave, and hence why I never became an actor or anything like that, because I know I can dance, and that's fine. I can dance.
We can't do everything, can we?
Yeah, exactly. We can't have everything, so you got to just know your strengths and be okay with your weaknesses. It's fine. Not everyone can be good at everything. Well, this is actually one of our questions we got in from Elliot, our very kind editor as well. He sent in a question, but like it kind of ties in with a question I had, which is sort of about how obviously theatre isn't really open at the moment, and it's slowly opening up and stuff, and how digital theatre has become like the sort of new space. So Elliot's question is exactly, I'll just read it out, is what do you feel have been the biggest benefits to using technology to create digital theatre over the past year, and would you keep any aspect of what you've done in the last year going forward as we hopefully head to normality? That's pretty much a better way of saying the question I was going to ask, so we'll just let him have his question. So anyone can go first. Rebecca, you could go first if you want, since you sort of had to be last every time. I'll throw you under the bus there. I'll throw you under the bus.
I literally did a university essay that was relatively similar to that.
Brilliant. Why don't you just read it out and we
I think I think there's been so many benefits to doing like stuff online or theatre online. Like I think Ellie mentioned it earlier, it gives you so many like more opportunities that might not be necessarily as possible in a show. So like things like crazy costume changes and really being able to like sometimes I don't know if you ever like finish a show and go back and go, oh, I wish I'd like sang that a bit better, or like, oh, I wish I'd like got that harmony right. Like I feel like digital theatre, it really gives you the opportunity to go, I know exactly how I sound and I feel happy with that. I think things like just, I don't know, I don't even know what you could take to use in real life. The only thing I can think of that I've seen recently, which kind of brings the two together, is I don't know if any of you have watched like Bo Burnham's special on Netflix. Like,
Yeah,
I've heard
I
it's
was watching
brilliant.
it
I
today.
really,
I'm still
yeah.
to watch that.
yeah, like the way
Would like
that
to
he
see it, yeah.
uses- like the way that he uses like all of his lights like for his special, and just to create like he's in one room but he creates like so many different scenarios. I know it's not live, like, but I feel it's something that he could make work in a live scene. I just think, yeah, maybe stuff like that. I don't really know. Oh no.
That was a very good answer. I hope the essay got a good grade as well. You know what I mean? You know,
Okay, actually.
yeah. We'll just work back in reverse order if you want to have a pop at answering that question as well, Stephen.
Ditto. No, I'm only kidding.
We'll take that. Right, next. I know.
Moving on.
Imagine. Yeah, I think just like what Rebecca said, the aspect of getting to have a do-over, essentially, if you're not as happy with a performance or feel like you could have improved it somewhat. And I think also for me during this, there's been times where I've filmed something and then gone away for a few days and thought about it more and then came back and been like, oh, I'm going to totally do it differently now. And so I like that aspect of it constantly being changeable and adaptable. And also just in terms of what Andrew's doing with the editing and everything, like we can't have like animation and live theatre. We can have it in digital theatre. We can't have crazy transitions and costume changes and all this different stuff because it's just physically impossible. But with digital theatre, it gives you that opportunity to make something bigger than reality, I guess, which is what musical theatre is all about. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Very
I mean,
good.
I think in terms of taking stuff with you from the digital platform into the real world once we're allowed to perform theatre again, I think what this has really done, particularly for Ellie and I, it's kind of forced us to open our minds up in a way that when you come from the theatre world, you kind of put a cap on yourself of what your limitations are, and you assume that there's only so much you can do. But this really forced us to be creative and forced us to push the limits and forced us to think, well, we can't do this, so what can we do? And I think that's a really, for me anyway, going to be a really useful tool that I can bring with me back into live theatre and try and take yourself out of that box of I'm only limited by these things. Well, says who? You know, if you kind of use your imagination and allow yourself to be creative, because I think half the time we don't let ourselves be fully creative. Like we don't allow ourselves to go back to that childlike state of total imagination, which is kind of exactly what Ellie and I have had to do for this.
Yeah, amazing.
I think it's an experience that I think is just going to be super useful moving forward. That you know, I think hopefully more people will allow themselves to be just that bit more creative and trust themselves to not think an idea's too wacky or too stupid. You know, ban it, see what happens. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. That sort of idea about being creative, that sort of creative state of flow is actually something comes up on the podcast again and again when we speak to people, and a lot of people talk about how they miss being a kid and stuff and just having that like absolute freedom to just be fully creative, not think about it in pursuit of an end goal or, you know, a reason. Like, I think the problem is we live in a society where we kind of have to monetize everything or think like this will get me to here, I'll make this, and this many people will watch it, this many people will listen. So I think it's nice that you were able to have that space as well. That's really good to hear. Definitely.
I think the only thing I would touch on really in a sense of all the digital stuff is I've never really worked really in film or TV or camera work isn't really my jam until now. So that was a big adaptation for me, kind of getting used to having to rewatch yourself or on theatre. Obviously, you're just in the moment, it happens, it's gone, and you kind of just move on to the next thing. You can't really hold on to things too much. So the biggest learning thing for me would be just to like trust myself a bit more, because having to film it and then rewatch it, double check it, or re-record things, you could drive yourself crazy, I guess.
Yeah.
In little things out all the time, but ultimately you just kind of have to trust that what you've done is right and not overthink it so much. I think that was a big learning thing for me.
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing that I would mainly try to take forward, is just like trust in yourself, and it will come.
You are enough. You know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Ellie, you on our episode of the podcast, we spoke about digital theatre for probably an hour anyway. But if you want to, if always welcome, we're always happy to have you on the podcast. So if you want to sort of give an updated view on digital theatre and how this show maybe in particular as well, then please do.
Okay, so when you watch this show, this is not like normal digital theatre. I think we can safely say it's not like a filmed performance, or you know, something where I'm talking to you and your camera's here and we're looking and it's meant to be not on Zoom. You know, it is made for Zoom. It's the first one, I believe. I haven't seen anything like that before.
That's not a Zoom play. You know, it's very self-aware of its settings.
And it, like what Andrew's saying with the imagination, you'll see like everyone, because everyone like went off and did it in their own time. Like they've got their own spin on everything and their own take on things, and they were like directing. You know, they're assessing how they're doing it at home, watching themselves. It's so great. It's such a good show, like so good. And also, well, I think digital theatre is a great thing because you know everyone can watch it.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the theatre, although we'll miss like not having an audience, and these guys will miss not having a standing ovation. You know, everyone can watch it, and everyone can watch it again and again. It's, you know, it's very different. Yeah, I was going to say something else, but it's gone from my mind.
And this also couldn't exist in the theatre.
Yeah.
So this title of show couldn't exist in the theatre. You know, it just couldn't. So
it's so different. It's so amazing, honestly.
And it was so much fun. So I'm sure that'll come across.
Oh yeah, it's full of fun.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we have nearly been speaking.
Oh my god. Frozen.
Oh, I thought it was me. I was like, Becca's still moving.
Oh my goodness. Should we just talk amongst ourselves?
We've been left alone.
We've been left alone on the live.
Unsupervised.
Unsupervised on the live. Oh my goodness.
Title of show unplugged.
Let's sing a song.
Can we swear now?
Wow.
I wonder.
I have no idea if we're still live.
So where are we all summering? Living room.
At home.
I need to open a window. Actually, it's absolutely.
I have no idea.
I don't know if we're still like live
We're
or not.
Still live. We are.
Oh, James gone.
Oh no, it's just us.
Oh no. Oh, this is the worst possible situation that could have happened.
Oh
my god.
Becca, you're looking very glam today. I'm a big fan of your hair.
Okay, I didn't know whether this was going to be filmed or not, so I went, oh, I should probably do something. So I do. It turns out that it is filmed.
And she did something.
Well, anyway, it's going to be a great show. And we have Instagram takeovers every day.
Oh, we do.
Come and watch our Instagrams.
Well, let's kind of, so to the cast, like, what was kind of your favorite things to shoot then? I just read.
Thank God. That was
You're
our first Just Get Real Job live Q&A, and my internet decides to do that. Brilliant stuff. I hope you held the show well together. Sorry, Andrew, I feel like you were doing an excellent job hosting. If you want
I was word vomiting. It's fine.
Thank you guys for. Yeah. I hope everyone enjoyed that lovely bit of But we're speaking about all the advantages of technology, but there is still sometimes it still does sometimes limit you. But I can't even. Was someone answering a question there? I can't even remember what was going on. But
I don't remember what you said.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I have no idea.
You vanished and we all panicked. That was it.
I was like, has someone else's internet crashed? And then I realized it's mine. It's mine that's crashed. The worst, Well, I have some questions from someone else, which from Caroline, actually, a good friend of me and Ellie's. But she has asked 2 questions. So our first question is kind of been asked anyway, which is like, how did it work over Zoom? But we talked about it earlier. But our second question is an interesting one, and she asked, if you could change anything, would you have done anything differently? So if you could go back, like over the last 6 months, would you have done anything differently?
No.
Started filming earlier. Because I ruined Andrew and Ellie's life because it was a disaster. But we got there in the end. But my God, it was. You can't ask me anything about filming because it was all a blur. It was a blur of wigs and costumes, and I just did not stop spinning for like 48 hours. It was horrible, but got there in the end. So sorry to Andrew and Ellie. Public apology on the podcast.
That's okay.
Well, we've been speaking for 51 minutes, which is actually it's went very fast. It's been a blur, but I'll start to I've got a few more questions, but I'll start to slowly wrap things like up and trying to keep this as close to an hour as possible, just because just for my editor's benefit as well. But I have another question, which is sort of like, I just wanted to know what everyone's favorite thing about this show is. Like, what's everyone's favorite thing about the actual musical itself as a musical? What does everyone like most about this musical? Maybe we'll start with Andrew, since you are the man behind this. This was your creative vision.
I think it's just, in terms of musical theatre, it's incredibly honest and incredibly based in reality, and it's very self-aware, and I really enjoy that. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's really funny, but it's so heartfelt. And I think particularly for the world right now, it's a story that everybody needs, because it's just about joy and connecting with people and love that's not romantic love. Rachel and I were having a conversation the other day, and this is like the 2 main characters are 2 gay men, but there's no romantic inkling at all. Their love is their friendship. And how many comedies really don't have any form of romance in it at all? It's quite few. So I think, it just says a lot, the power of just kind of genuine connection with people.
Yeah, no, I really like that. That's really interesting. I've never seen the musical, obviously, but like I'm quite keen to, and I'll see it at the weekend, of course, from you guys' perspective as well, which is exciting. What about Stephen? What about yourself? What do you? We'll jump about. We'll space out. What's your favorite thing about this musical?
I think just the heart of it and the theme of just people coming together to make something nice. I think after a year of that's not to bring it back to our production, which is the best one, but like after a year of people living separately and not having a thing, I think the idea of these 4 people from all different backgrounds, they're totally different characters, like each of them, and they all have their own unique quirks and personalities, but they all come together and have this bond between them that's shared in creating this thing and putting their heart and their soul into it. And I just think that's a really nice thing to be attached to, I suppose.
Yeah. No, that
really was
nice.
Word vomit, but yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all. I do it for a living. I was about to say for a living. I wish I did this for a living. But I do this every week, mate. This is it's constant word vomit for me, so don't worry, it's not at all. How about you, Rachel? What was your favorite thing?
Being Susan was my favorite thing. No, I think getting to like just play somebody real. I guess like the fact these are all real people, and you can like totally see that in the way that this script is written and the way they interact with each other. And yeah, like Andrew and Stephen had said, like just doing a show that's like so honest and just being able to fall into that character, I suppose, and show that with Susan's kind of lifestyle and the lifestyle I've been living for the past year, that you can still have both. You can still work your day job, your real job.
Yeah, gotta get that in there. Gotta get that in there.
And be creative as well, even when you feel like you can. Like there's always something that's going to bring you up, and ultimately it's like the people around you that totally lift you up and remind you of the joy that it brings. So yeah, I think that would be my favorite thing.
Very nicely answered. Very nicely answered. What about you, Rebecca? What was your?
Not gonna lie, it's probably gonna sound very similar to what a lot of people have said today.
Just do a Stephen and say ditto. It's fine. Just do that.
I don't want to get taken off. I think it's just a lovely show, and it's really funny, but it's really hopeful. I think is the thing that I found, and I think especially now when things just seem like they're dragging on and there's an end, but is there an end? Question mark. Who knows? I think it's a show that's just really positive and really hopeful, and it's like Rachel said, it's people coming together to create something, and it's just a really positive experience. It was a positive experience to make, and I imagine it's a positive thing to watch because I haven't seen it, but the show is very positive and hopeful and uplifting. So yeah. And
last up, our wonderful director Ellie. What was your favorite thing about the musical?
Oh, I love it. It's so inspiring. It's really beautiful, as everyone's saying. And also the songs are great. Oh, I love them.
Yeah. Well, that's actually my next question is, what's everyone's favorite song from this musical? What
do you mean like, well, I've got kind of two. So the song itself, there's a song at the end of the show called Nine People's Favorite Thing. Musically it's beautiful, but the meaning of the song is just so powerful, and I think will hit home with quite a lot of people in a post-COVID world. But in terms of watching, my favorite is What Kind of Girl Is She?
Oh, that is a good
people that were born in the 90s, 2000s will appreciate what happens in that song.
I look forward to hearing them all and watching it at the weekend. But very nice. Has everyone got two answers for this? Is just
I'll set the bar high.
I'm still thinking.
Yeah, I would say Nine People's Favorite Thing has definitely been like my favorite to sing and to do, just because of, like Andrew said, like the message is so lovely and the harmonies are lovely and the song is lovely. And it's a really nice song, and it comes at a really nice point in the show, and it kind of just rounds off the show really well. I think it kind of ends the show nicely. But obviously one of my favorites is my song. I get to sing a song called Die Vampire Die, which was really fun to do, but also had like a nice little message in it as well. So it was super fun and silly, but also like for my character, it was just a nice moment to play. It's nice to kind of, have ups and downs within a story, and that's one of Susan's moments. So I really enjoyed getting into the song. So watch the show and you'll see it. I'll make you cry.
I can't watch it, so I edited it and then couldn't watch. I watched it back once and I was like, I can't watch this again. I keep crying.
Aww, that's
my favorite one. Your one, Die Vampire. Oh, it's so good. I listen to it on the way to work to give me some motivation. It's great.
Very nice. Stephen, have you had time to think yet? Have you managed to come up with one, or do you want me to?
No, I'm ready. So, not to be a cop out, but my favorite song is Nine People's Favorite Thing. I think it's just a lovely message, and it's really heartfelt and really emotional right at the end of the show, right at the conclusion of it. But my favorite song to like perform when I was like filming it was Two Nobodies in New York right at the beginning of the show, because it's right at the start of the journey. Essentially, it's like peak optimism, excitement, and just getting into that mindset of being excited about creating again was just really fun to play. So that was my favorite to perform.
Yeah. Very nice, very nice. And Rebecca, what about yourself?
What could Becca's be, I wonder?
I'm gonna. Whoa.
Is there some shade there? Is there some shade?
No, because there's one that she should pick, and I'll tell her off if she doesn't.
I think my favorite song to like. I think my favorite song to sing is probably Monkeys and Playbills, specifically the second half of the song. I do love singing Way Back to Then. I think it is. I really enjoy it. That's like a solo that I have. I really enjoy that. But there is a harmony in Monkeys and Playbills near the end, which is so satisfying to sing and listen to. I would probably say that's one of my favorite songs to sing. and I think my favorite one that I performed is probably one of mine and Rachel's duets at the end of the show, which is Secondary Characters. Just because I just had so much fun filming it. I've never done anything like it before in terms of acting, costuming, everything. So I'd probably say that's my favorite one to film.
Yeah, very nice. Well, I have one more question, and I'll let everyone get on with their day, because I know you probably want to all anticipate the weekend and things as well. You're probably, I'm sure there's still promo to do, and you're doing your Instagram takeover today as well, Andrew. So on the title of the show, Instagram. But like, I've got one more question. But first, I just want to say thank you very much for giving us your time today, all of you. Well done on the show.
You're very welcome.
Hope everyone goes away and buys tickets to this and goes and watches it and goes and supports the show. I hope everyone enjoyed our first ever live Q&A as well, despite my internet having something to say. But we'll make do.
I think that'll be a big highlight. Is us.
Yeah, we'll do. If you want to re-enjoy it, just skip back and look forward to watching that back later. But but my last question, this is a new category we've been asking everyone on the podcast. So when Ellie came on, she wouldn't have got to answer this question, but this is a very fun question we started asking guests. So I'm going to go around everyone individually. I'm going to give you 3 categories. I'm just going to get you to pick the category I give you, and then I have a question to follow up. So we'll start with Rebecca first, and she'd be, I'll keep asking you last a lot, so I'll go with you first, right? So I'm going to give you 3 options. So you can pick a sweaty dance floor, a drunken karaoke night, or a hungover Sunday.
Drunken karaoke night.
Okay, what are you singing at this karaoke night?
Probably. If I'm really drunk, probably Winner Takes It All from ABBA.
That's one of my go-tos as well. Love that. That's a great karaoke song.
Like Meryl Streep and Pierce Brosnan's whole like dynamic, like from the movie, like the Donna at the end.
Yeah, brilliant.
Like that.
Love some Pierce Brosnan singing on Mamma Mia to die for, but yeah. What about you, Steve? What from these 3 categories? So, sweaty dance floor, drunken karaoke night, or a hungover Sunday?
I'm going to pick a hungover Sunday.
Oh, very nice. No one's picked this category yet that I've been asking, so I'm happy. What are you going to watch on your hungover Sunday? What are you going to sit and watch when you're hungover? Right,
it's going to be a double bill, because I think I'll want to cry out all the alcohol. So it'll be a double bill of Little Women. It'll be an intense hungover Sunday. I imagine myself alone, so there's no judgment. And then the second film I will watch will be Paddington 2, and I will also cry my eyes out. Incredible film, the best film ever made.
Very good.
Oh, it's the peak of cinema. Everyone watch it.
Excellent. I very much enjoy Paddington. That's a great answer. Great double bill. Yeah, very nice. I'm glad somebody finally picked that category. Andrew, what about yourself? Are you which are you having? Are you having a sweaty dance floor, a drunken karaoke, or a hungover Sunday?
A drunken karaoke.
Cool. And what are you singing?
You're not singing.
It's All Coming Back to Me Now by Celine Dion.
Oh,
excellent.
4-act
See,
opera.
Incredible.
Very nice. See, we are asking this question because people miss these things, and it's nice. Well, I mean, not hungover Sundays. We can all have them still, but you know what I mean. It's like it's just nice to reminisce and about these old days. But anyway, Rebecca, Rachel, I should say. I was doing so well. I was doing so well. Rachel,
I'm
what about
actually gonna
you?
pick Hungover Sunday as well.
Very nice. And what are you going to be watching on your hungover
What am I going
Sunday?
to be watching? Andrew knows what I'm going to be watching, and it's Cinderella 3.
Oh my God. Cinderella.
So good.
That film is so good.
Yeah.
Why is it so good?
Oh my God, it's the best Disney film of all time. It's the best
Like,
film of all
literally-
time.
I've never
Who
seen it.
gave Walt Disney's corpse the right? Like, it's so good.
So
Jamie, I don't know what else you're doing with your day, but cancel it and watch Cinderella 3 because it will change.
Disney Plus.
Okay.
That's great.
And Ellie, last but not least, but the question you didn't get to answer when you came on the podcast. What are you picking?
The sweaty dance floor.
Yes, so you just somebody's picked that now as well, which is good. But what are you dancing to? What are you going to be
What am
dancing
I
to?
gonna dance to? Probably Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
I'm so basic. Oh, my favorite one is the Baba Boom.
I thought you were like
Nice.
Starship.
Oh no,
Anaconda.
Yeah,
that's a good
Anaconda.
one as well. They're all the whole album.
Well, hopefully you'll be
Yeah.
able to. Hopefully we'll be able to do that in the coming months. We'll see what happens. But guys, thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it. People,
you.
go and buy tickets to the show. It's on Friday night 7 p.m. and Sunday at midday. Hope
It's
I
on
got
the
that
whole
right.
thing, Jamie.
48 hours from.
It runs.
Friday.
You guys do it.
Yeah, so you can buy your tickets at ticketsource.co.uk/title of show. If you go to any of our social medias, the ticket link is there as well. Basically, the stream goes live at 7 p.m. on this Friday, and it is there until 7 p.m. on Sunday. So there's 48 hours that you can watch it as many times as you like.
I apologize for my mistake there. I misread. the
Right?
Don't you worry.
But yes, you heard him there. And as always, please support the podcast by sharing us on social media, leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts, or just telling people to listen. And if you can afford to donate as little as a £1 a month, or the price of a cup of coffee, the price of a pint, to our Patreon page, well, please consider doing that. And there's a link to that underneath the podcast. But thank you very much for listening and watching as well. Watching now, we're not just listening. So I hope people enjoyed. But thank you guys, and I hope everyone has a lovely week. And
Thanks.
then you could end the live. I don't know how you end it, but end broadcast. Here we go. We're ending it.
Bye. Keep it going.